Never do this and always do this. This is like some of the best advice and perhaps worst advice that I wish I would have gotten way back when, because I'm like the last couple months, I've just been going crazy with business. Actually, not last couple months, last couple weeks, I've been going crazy with business, crazy with like the different ways of doing it, all because I wanted to manage my time better in different ways. And it just kind of took off. And I've always had this sort of, you could say, obsessed nature, this nature that always was able to do a lot and wanted to do a lot and could get really passionate about it. Yet at the same time, looking back, Jesus, there were some things that I never should have done. And there were some things that I always should have done, which I want to talk about now. Now, this can also be applied to all of your life and whatever you do. You just got to be creative with it. This is our Daily Awesome podcast, which is a podcast for men's development. Follow the links down below. You can get a part of the Awesome Men's Development Group, which is a free group. But more importantly, if you want to step it up, and we're going to get to this about the importance of this, just because this ties into my business so much, is that if you want to step it up, join the Men's Development Excellence course. That is the way to go. Currently, it's priced $55 a month or $500 for the year. And you just get so much, man. There's live coaching, there's interaction, and there's so much wisdom on these calls. As we say, speak to the wisdom. So what I'm actually talking about here is for the last couple weeks, man. Last week, I put up 21 podcasts in 1 week, and that might be a little bit of an overkill. And for the last month, I've done about 2 or 10 podcasts for each week. And one of the things with that is that throughout so many of the years, and I've had this podcast for since 2012, well, not the Daily Awesome, but the TSL podcast. You definitely check that out. I've had that for that time, and I always took all this advice. Now, all this advice that was given to me was done with the best intentions. It was done by people who probably know a lot. It was done by people that had good things to say and actually had good recommendations. Like, they weren't wrong. They weren't wrong about it, but what was wrong about it was that it wasn't me. See, way back when in 2012, 2013, I started putting out video. And even before that, I wanted to put out video. And I remember there were people saying, oh, well, your audio is not good enough, or your video is not good enough. And it's not good enough quality and all this different sort of stuff. And it will never work. And all those people that told me that do not have podcasts with audio and video now. And I worked my ass off to build up a nice setup and multiple different setups and trying out different things, all pushing myself to do this and not realizing that probably nobody would have cared seeing me build up to that. I also got a lot of advice on, like, you're doing too much. It's too hard to organize. This is too difficult to keep up with. You're pumping out too much stuff, which everybody who follows my stuff totally gets. But see, that's not the point. The point is that we have a running dialogue of conversation that's always happening. We have about 40 hours now of calls a week. That means 40 hours where you can come on and get coaching in varying different angles or whatever it is, whether that's sex and relationships, whether you're looking for general men's development advice, whether you just want to vent. There are avenues for that. And a lot of guys think, man, I don't have all that time to spend 40 hours on fucking calls. I have a job which takes 40 hours of my life away. Why would I do that? That's not the point. The point is that we have a running dialogue and an open door for men's development. And see, the problem is that I listened too much to that. If you have a goal, if you have an ambition, if you have a purpose, if you have a passion, if you have any of these things that you want to put yourself out there, man, you need to be yourself. You need to do it. And I've seen it over and over again in my life, and especially in business. And I'll tell you the absolute benefits of this. First off, man, the red stack. It was something that I wrote. It was something that could have easily been copied. In my opinion, man, so many other people should have done it. But the fact of the matter is I was the only one that was able to do it. Tons of people did try and copy it. I'm sure if I taught them how to copy it, it'd be a little bit of a different story. But tons of people did try and copy it. People sued me over it. It was this thing that was long-winded, had tons of errors. If anybody has read my writing, man, I'm terrible at grammar. Every single guy that was a writer told me how poor it was, how terrible of a writer I was, but they got the content. Yet at the same time, it is literally the only document out there that is $10,000 that still has people pay for it, that still have people asking me about it, that I don't advertise. Well, I talk about it on stuff like this, so I guess that builds some stigma, but people actually beg me to write it, and I will say, no, I will not do anything unless you have 10 grand to get me started and you give me full permission to take as much time as I need. Man, that is crazy. That is crazy for somebody who's dyslexic, who makes tons of grammatical errors, who makes things that are incomplete and impossible to listen and learn. But how could it have remained such a prominent thing? And especially when I was writing it, when everybody was saying I was a bad writer or doing something wrong, how could it have been that so many people bought it? So many people liked it. So many people made it work. I remember in the first 27, there were 17 guys that actually got laid in the first week of writing this. This was crazy. And there were those other ones that didn't. And some of those other ones had a lot of problems. And I will say probably the first, 27, a lot of those guys with the 17, they had a pretty good skill set to begin with, or they had a lot of confidence. They may not have walked in with a lot of the other problems, but Jesus Christ, man. That's amazing. I didn't realize how great that was. Why the fuck did I listen to other people? Why would I listen to other people? When it comes to the podcast and so on, here's the greatest thing about it. Now when anybody buys into my stuff, and I'll even say this, put up a podcast, it's 100 views on YouTube, it gets, maybe about 900 downloads on iTunes or Stitcher, it gets, a couple Facebook views or whatever from that. It doesn't have a huge audience. Most people have massive spreads. But guess what? Guess what, motherfuckers? I'm still in business. I'm still doing well. I've built a good business. And every single person that comes through my door and gets plugged in to my community knows exactly what the fuck they're getting. They're ready to work. They're ready to do it. They're ready to interact. And they fit the exact match. Man, who gives a shit if my speeches, and that's another thing. Oh man, another thing is I just love it. I love how many people give whatever advice, and they mean well. A lot of times they're giving good advice, but Jesus Christ, you're not me. Of course I can take some of that advice. Of course I could give better speeches. I could give better talks, give better webinars. I could do better podcasts. I could do better video production. I could do better audio production. I could do all sorts of that shit. But guess what? I am still in the game after all these years, and it worked out to what it was, and it's really fucking good. So, never do this, always do this. Man, never let somebody tell you how to be yourself. And always come back to who you are to learn how to be yourself. And that's such an important thing, because whenever I've done it, it's worked out for the best. And whenever I've been fucking up massively, you giving the poorest video content or audio or whatever the fuck it is, or not doing the latest cool thing, man, if I just keep going with my expression, the next thing comes up. Man, eventually it works itself out. I wish people had more faith and more passion in themselves to follow that, because even when I did have those times of doubt or go on the wrong route or whatever, man, I still had the passion and consistency to keep me going. So a very important lesson for you, man, you don't be lazy. You don't have an excuse for it. Don't fucking quit. Don't go for fucking second or whatever. Be first at you. Personal excellence. Man, you don't need to compare yourself with anybody else. You don't need to be better. You don't need to keep up, but God damn it, man, be your fucking best. Why not? When I'm my best, I still lose a lot. But man, that just gets me to a closer place of me. In any case, what the Daily Awesome is about is this sort of stuff. And it goes far beyond that, because anything that a guy would want to know in terms of, man, what do guys talk about? Sports, getting in shape, all the fitness stuff, how to have proper mental performance, how to have better work ethic and so on, how to handle your relationships and dating and all that sort of stuff. Man, you get groups of guys together, that's what they do. That's what we do here. And if you want to really, really be a part of it, join the Men's Development Excellence course. It'll fucking rock your world. You will not be disappointed. And hey, this is just one step closer to knowing exactly what you'll be getting. Talk to you later.